erotic appeal. By that, I mean some people would just say, that's sexy. Welcome to the Halal Majlis, conversations that shape the halal economy, a printcast series powered by @Halal and Malaysia Kini. Assalamualaikum, I'm Shaza Dzulkifly. And taking center stage for our debut episode is an exploration into the vibrant world of modest fashion. To dive deeper into this topic, I'm joined by Ishak, co-founder and CEO of International Fashion Chamber Malaysia, or better known as MyFashionChamber. Also with us is Faridah Muhammad Ali, Head of Corporate Communication at Halal Development Corporation Berhad. Jay and Faridah, welcome. You two are coming at this conversation from very different perspective of the industry. So if I point out to what I'm wearing right now and ask, is this modest? Is there a simple answer to it?
So we need to consider the complete look, coverage, fit, opacity, movement, styling, and context, but with what aligns with our personal values and comfort. To us, modest fashion is cover as much as you can. So yeah, modesty is found in the complete look, not simply the length or the thickness of the material. Yeah, that's my opinion lah.
Faridah, what do you think?
For me, modest fashion is actually a fashion approach for consumers to have their own preferential in terms of what they wear, how comfortable they are. And you cannot connect a modest fashion in terms of religious aspect. You cannot connect modest fashion traditional wear. You know, it's not something to do with hijabster and all that, because it's what you are comfortable with. When you wear it, it has that, it identify you. So I think from our point of view, modest fashion is basically a fashion approach in terms of what consumers or wearing comfortable in whatever that you are wearing. But it has to be the word modest, you know?
It's not tight.
Yeah, it's not tight. Yeah, it has to have some, no revealing.
So I can say that what I'm wearing is modest.
You can.
I would agree, yeah.
But I would say that you have to cover your arms.
I guess so that already explains that the language matters, right?
Yes.
So now that there's a lot of categories to this, like there's Shariah-compliant, Muslim fashion, modest fashion, halal fashion, and they're often used interchangeably. So from HDC's perspective, what are the important distinctions that consumers need to understand?
When you say the first one, what is it? It's talking about modest fashion. I think I've described that. And you're talking about Islamic?
Yes.
And of course, totally Islamic. Fashion will be on Sharia compliance. So how you dress, that is according to, as a Muslim, you know what is allowable and what's not allowable. So I guess another one is halal certification. It's something that you have to be accredited with. But I think for modest fashion, there's no scheme. Jakim did not issue any certification when talking about modest fashion. So there's no on halal certification for modest fashion.
And Jay, what do those distinctions mean in terms of design?
When you talk about halal fashion, is more towards the textile, the fabric that is used, how the process to make from the yarn to the fabric to the textile, the components, the processes, whether it's made from animal. When I talk about Sharia compliance, of course, religion would come into in the context. But to us, we wouldn't call it Islamic fashion or Muslim fashion, because that will make you cover everything.
Yeah, head to toe.
Head to toe.
Correct.
Whereas modest fashion is for everyone.
Can modest fashion still be bold or unconventional?
Of course.
Or
yes,
glamorous,
of
or
course.
sexy.
No.
By the word
Not
sexy,
sexy.
I don't mean the physical or erotic appeal. By that I mean some people would just say, that's sexy, and they mean is like confidence, the inner power.
Well, sexy is how you carry yourself. Okay, so, if you wear a kaftan, and people say, how can you be sexy in a kaftan? But if it's transparent, you can. It's the way you move. Is the way. Okay, so we're not going to get there. So what I'm talking about, you can, of course, you can be bold and glamorous. We brought modest fashion to New York during New York Fashion Week with niqab, and it looks absolutely bold and glamorous. That's the first time I see that people look at modest fashion head to toe with niqab and all glamorous.
But I want to correct, not sexy. That's not the right word. So confident, yes.
Yeah.
Be modest because you want to associate yourself with modest fashion. So sexy is not the right word.
Yeah.
Confident.
Bold, glamorous, yes.
Correct. Yeah.
I guess brands shouldn't use the word sexy at all when
Correct.
defining
Yeah.
modest fashion, although they are pointing it out to like confident and
Yeah.
I give you an
inner
example.
power.
Correct.
Kabaya.
Yeah.
Kabaya head to toe. Okay? But why kabaya they say, oh, sexy? Because of the
Silhouette.
The figure. I mean,
and the
those
figure.
thing. Yeah, correct.
Figure thing. But there are kabaya, there's macam kebarung and all that. There's loose.
One of the strongest promises of modest fashion is that it allows women to dress according to their values without feeling excluded from fashion. It's meant to give women more choices. Tapi, could it end up creating a new rule book of how modest fashion is supposed to look? In other words, are we genuinely widening the choices, or are we simply replacing one ideal with another?
We, from the perspective of HDC, modest fashion is already defined as one of the emerging sectors, That's how important this modest fashion, to the industry. So it's a lucrative business and everybody, we believe that this is the next economy is going to be boom. Everybody's going to, everybody, even going to anywhere, you would like to be looking good. Not only you, going to the office, but at all those kind of functions that you go, you will have a very, distinct in terms of how you dress up, what come with you. So these are all actually associated to business. This is an opening market. So we can say that I think Malaysia is now also very competitive with other countries. I think Jay is one of that also going abroad and pushing her brand. So I can continue. Yeah.
Let me correct that. I'm not a designer.
Okay.
I advocate the Malaysian fashion industry globally.
Okay, that's good.
So we work, our community, majority are fashion designers, stylists in the fashion ecosystem. So we talk about modest fashion, a growth market. Of course it is. And Malaysia as the Muslim country should spearhead this as well. Okay? We are right smack, the location of our country is very, very ideal. And we are Muslim country, so we should, move forward with the modest fashion. This is how we angle it accordingly.
And we have an advantage of it. I mean, Malaysia.
A lot of advantage.
With the culture, multicultural and all that. Well, I tell you, if I think any businesses can boom, just sharing that in terms of this perspective from the multicultural that we have. I would love to see, dress that combine, all the races and, looking like Malaysian.
Funny thing is, we already started having cheongsam in batik. We already started having baju Melayu. Looks like we use the sanfu, So we have that magic. There's no other countries that have our story.
Correct.
Of course, with our strength, we have a formula. We have a formula on how we should tell the world about our Malaysian fashion, especially modest fashion, because this is a $300+ million economy. Why are we not tapping on it? So hence the reason why I'm very much into. Although we support, Chamber supports all categories of fashion.
Coach all this
but modest fashion was something that we are.
So I guess why are we not?
We are.
We are starting and we are.
Yeah.
Are you getting enough support? Do you think?
Okay,
We are supporting, right? the government agencies are supporting you, right?
Can I be honest?
Yeah, please.
Okay. The gap is there. The support that we need is not as how we want it to be.
Hype as what you want it to be. Okay?
Yes. Because people still, are confused about, why are you pushing modest fashion? What about other fashion? What about couture and all that? Whether it's couture, ready to wear, heritage and all that, all these can be modest.
Yes.
There's no problem with that. When you do modest fashion, the more textile you're using, the more fabric you're using, the more the whole economy, the fashion ecosystem will benefit through it.
Correct.
I tell you,
Yeah,
Indonesia is leading, but we are number 4. We're the fourth. Indonesia is leading not just because of the population, but it's also because the government assists. Bank of Indonesia assists.
You think our banks doesn't assist? I think we have all these Islamic banks are assisting the companies. It's just that I think we need to reach out and talk, later.
Okay. I'm not talking about giving out loans to SME.
Financing.
No, they give grants. They support the modest fashion industry to the world. That's why Indonesian modest fashion is everywhere in the world. But we are not there because when we want to promote, we have to sendiri berhad, sendiri poket keluar.
Is modest fashion genuinely a new growth market, or the industry is only now recognizing a demand that has always existed? Is Ramadan marketing growth or opportunism?
Well, it all depends on the intention.
Correct.
When you do business, every business that you create, there must be an intention. Are you making money? Of course, making money is part of it. But are you going to sustain, or are you just going to be in it just for Ramadan, seasonal, once a year, and after that you do something else?
Correct.
So actually, to answer your question in summary, the consumer demand is not new. The visibility and the commercial recognition are.
So Faridah, when a fashion brand describe themselves as modest, halal, or Shariah-compliant, so what kind of responsibilities do they have to carry when using that lange? What do they have to substantiate?
Again, like when we go back, when we talk about the definition of it, so this actually represent what the modest fashion should be in terms of carrying the brands. So it has, it will distinctive in terms of the brand, the labels,
And
represent
actually the usage.
the
Well,
usage.
is it for aesthetic or is it
Correct.
for function?
Correct.
Is it for home or for
Yeah.
daily wear?
Daily wear can, So that is what I think the brand represent in terms of modest fashion.
So in practice, does that responsibility goes beyond the designing? Do you go beyond, do you define modest fashion from the outsourcing and getting your vendors and whatnot?
When you talk about the process, the production of it all, it's the selection of material, the way designers cut, the way it is designed, and the sizing, whether it's stretchable or not. I'm not talking about whether it's UV light, but it has to be cooling. We are in tropical climate. We're not making, we can't even compare ourselves to the Middle East or Central Asia type of modest fashion. They have their total different textile and fabric that they're using because they're for season.
Correct.
We are
Yes,
2 season.
Mostly one.
Mostly is hot.
Panas and hujan.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it has
So
to
it has to comply, and we cannot.
It has to be
Malaysians do
suitable.
not practice too many layers of modest fashion. It's not about the layers. It's about the coverage and the comfort.
Yeah, materials.
So you would say modest fashion that is produced in Malaysia should be a little bit different from elsewhere.
We have our own story, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. One is it has to be climate appropriate clothing for Malaysia.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want, designers are open. They can choose to have a autumn winter kind of collection of modest fashion. They can, but it just cannot be sold here lah.
Cannot.
They have to access the market in other countries.
So who would you say is the modest fashion consumer today? And what is one specific thing that the industry still consistently fails to provide?
Talking about Malaysia ni, Malaysia's real age is not. I agree with your creating the awareness and all that, but it's also the storytelling, the combination of multicultural creativity, our heritage textiles, modest fashion understanding, definitely through the education, selected quality manufacturing, and also, yes, it's not religious, but we still have to look into Islamic economic credibility that we have, that Malaysia has, and strong trade connectivity. So we cannot, because Malaysia ni, we are not the region's cheapest mass volume garment producer. We are not. And we should not position ourselves that way either. So our strong opportunities are in the tropical modest fashion. Heritage translated into contemporary design, specialized textiles, quality niche production, and culturally intelligent products. Okay, so I want to share this with everyone. Malaysia ranks first overall in the global Islamic economy ecosystem.
Correct.
So that tells us something important. Our enabling ecosystem is strong, but we have not yet converted that into fashion market leadership. Not yet. Okay, because right now, a lot of our designers, they're very much talented, but they're only looking at almost 35 million market. Why?
Market
There are billions outside there that they should explore. Hence why MyFashionChamber is really working very hard to advocate the global fashion industry globally. I mean, we're taking them abroad. But Malaysia's weakness is fragmentation. We have many of the right components, but they're not working. They're not yet working together as one coordinated export-driven fashion value chain. So hence the reason why we keep on saying this is the angle to position Malaysia in the fashion industry ecosystem. Not everybody is familiar to it. So hence we keep on talking about it so that the people who matters.
Yeah, I know, you know why? Because
Understand.
this is emerging market, like I said. But when you talk about FMB, you talk about something that we are always already been a matured industry of that. So it's another tool when talking about comparing to modest fashion. Sangat lah. The
Baru
gap.
lah ni. For the government, it's a new market lah.
But,
But for us, it's not.
But yeah, I understand. So now even us are looking at it from the perspective of emerging. So there's a room for improvement. There's a room for exploration. There's a room for partnership. So many. Yeah.
So I guess the demand and creative potential are already there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But visibility alone does not build an industry. So a runway is actually not a supply line, kan? It does not necessarily mean that it translates into orders for the designer.
Okay,
right?
I tell you what about fashion runway. Runway provides visibility. Okay, visibility creates attention. You get your attention, but business ready convert that visibility into opportunities.
Is that MIHAS provided the platform for modest fashion designers to put themselves out there in the international market?
Yes, in fact, MIHAS is the only international modest fashion runway we have in Malaysia. And MIHAS is the largest halal showcase in the world. Okay, so now what separates a runway collection? Because MIHAS is a B2B, so it has to be more export-ready business, fashion business. So a runway collection answers the question, what do I want the world to see? An export-ready business must answer, can a buyer order it, sell it, and trust me to deliver it consistently? Now, what is export readiness? It requires clear customer, wholesale and retail pricing, sustainable margins. So these are the lead times, size specification, payment terms, logistic, and all that. So when we have, this is my 4th year in curating MIHAS Modest Fashion.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I'm taking we're looking at a larger role here. So it's going to be MIHAS Modest Fashion Week. We're introducing that modest fashion. We have heritage, we have ready to wear, we have couture. So I cannot put all this together into one platform. It has to be separate. Because it's a different storytelling on a media perspective, PR perspective. This year, we are going to have the runway spotted by Pavilion Presence. So finally, Alhamdulillah, Mihas look at it as in it's already a confirmed sector, modest fashion and lifestyle. So we're going to have our own pavilion, modest fashion pavilion, that's dedicated to us. I'm not saying that Mihas will automatically convert into sales. No, you have to be visible first.
But these designers that go through Mihas, are they already export ready?
Okay, not everybody.
Yeah.
You know why not everybody? Because they have not experienced it. Okay, I just want to share a story. There's quite a number of designers who weren't ready until they know that they should be ready. In terms of communication, in terms of storytelling, in terms of how to negotiate with buyers, things like that. Those are nitty-gritty that we don't talk. These are BTS, not the Korean group, but it's behind the scene.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that.
So what's the difference for this 2026 Mihas program?
We have separated it into 3 days instead of just one show, everything. So first day we will have ready to wear, contemporary. Second is more into heritage textile, where is more, they have the contemporary elements. So baju kurung cannot be just the same baju kurung V-neck. It can be anything else. Okay, it can be a cape, but we have must have the heritage element lah. Songket, batik, everything. Yeah, culturally. And on the last day, we'll have the modest luxe. That's when you see the couture, the bling bling kebaya, the turban. Like you can wear
another totally different level.
Exactly, it's high end. So again, I want to emphasize: a runway creates attention. Business readiness converts that attention into opportunity.
Jay, can you share one designer that walked through Mihas and MyFashionChamber that, tell us what actually changed from the moment they received the exposure through Mihas or Fashion Chamber?
I would like to share one designer whose journey I have witnessed closely. But somehow when she started to participate in Mihas Modest Fashion Showcase, for 2 consecutive years, okay, since then her journey has progressed steadily. So she has showcased internationally in Moscow, Amsterdam, Kazan. Kazan is in Republic of Tatarstan. And she has been featured in various television interviews both in Malaysia and internationally.
Siapa ni?
Yani Bakhtiar. See? So I guide. They don't have confidence to go there, to go to that country alone. I'm there and I guide. I'm not into her business, but I guide where there's a gap. Okay? Because I know there's a lot of potential and a lot of story. So I asked her, okay, do a press release. What's your story? So you dig. So now, every time she comes back, her retail space widen. Now she's nationwide already. Nationwide. And slowly looking into export.
It looks like Mihas has done.
Yeah, so not just designer, it's also us as organizer.
Yeah, more than 20
years.
I
vouched for Mihas when nobody believed during the first year. But I said there's just something about Mihas that one day people will realize why it's important for fashion designers to be visible on the modest fashion runway during Mihas.
Thank you, Jay. That was a good answer. So to close, we've had a very interesting discussion today. I have one last question for both Faridah and Jay. What is one uncomfortable truth about modest fashion industry that people within it rarely discuss openly?
I'm looking from perspective from from HDC. Of course, I think the truth is that we don't want Malaysia just to be a producer of modest fashion, but we also want to be a hub for creativity, technology, anything that comes from the ecosystem of modest fashion. So we want to see that happen. And I'm very excited. I think with this conversation, I can see that, I think modest fashion in Malaysia will fly really high.
You see a lot of fashion week here in other states, fashion show here at the mall, but it's all event driven. It's not business driven. So we are very good, we as in Malaysian, we are very good at producing shows, photographs, social media content, and applause. We are less comfortable discussing pricing, margins, production capacity, repeat orders, buyer conversion, and who is responsible for following up afterwards. So designers are sometimes asked to invest without being given a clear commercial pathway. So both sides need greater honesty about cost, value, and measurable outcomes. So if we want a serious industry, we must stop measuring success only through visibility and start measuring visibility. So yes, this industry cannot survive on exposure alone.
Faridah and Jay, thank you for joining us today. Now it's your turn to dive deeper into the full article on Halal July August 2026 issue, both in print and e-edition, or drop your thoughts in the comments to join the debate. This is the Halal Majlis, conversation that shaped the halal economy, a printcast series powered by Halal and Malaysia Kini. I'm Shaza Dzulkifly, signing off.